Joining us right now is Stef Kight, political reporter at Axios. Good morning to you. Help us understand exactly what's going on. How much of this is a sense of we might win, so we should wait? How much of it is a sense of we don't want to fight for it now because if we win ahead of it, actually Biden might get some credit for it?
It's kind of a little bit of both. Russel Vought, who is one of the close Trump allies, and he was OMB director under Trump, he met with Senate Republicans last week and essentially was urging them to kick back the government funding appropriations process to 2025 using a short-term mechanism, a CR. This is something that Republicans generally are not a fan of. They want to fully fund the government, or at least that is what they've been saying over the past few years. But the idea here is that Trump allies don't want Democrats to use the government funding process to hamstring a potential future Trump administration. For example, they don't want Democrats to put something in the legislation that would block Trump from using funds to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. But on the other hand, there's both the defensive side of this and the offensive side of this, where Republicans want to be able to use the government funding process if Trump does get elected and if Republicans do take control of the Senate to include some of their priority issues in that package.
How much of this is coming directly from President Trump's campaign versus from others in the party?
Well, this is certainly coming from, Trump's campaign. They're beginning those conversations with top lawmakers. So in this meeting last week, this was Russel Vought meeting with the steering committee in the Senate, which was a lot of more conservative Senate members, but it also included members of leadership. McConnell was in that meeting. John Thune, who is currently the #2 Republican senator and is running for leader in the fall, they were in that meeting hearing Trump's allies out. But we've also heard that Trump himself has been communicating with leaders in the House as well. Steve Scalise, Speaker Mike Johnson, they have been talking with Trump, thinking about what they want to do in 2025 if Republicans manage to kind of run the tables in November and Trump does win the White House.
Steph, I have a totally different question. I don't know if you saw late last week, Steve Schwartzman appears to now be back. Steve Schwartzman of Blackstone appearing to back former President Trump. This after the January 6th attacks or riots or whatever you wanted to call them at that time. Even prior to that, he had said that he was going to walk away or step away from President Trump and was not supportive of him. Do you see a sea change happening right now when obviously Nikki Haley, who was on one side of the campaign for a long time and said that he was, said terrible things about him, has now switched gears? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, we have certainly seen, especially, Republicans come around Donald Trump now that he is really the only person in the race. He is going to be the nominee, the GOP nominee. We have seen all kinds of people who have been historical Republican voters, who have been Republican supporters, but maybe have been hesitant about backing the former president, are now getting behind Trump. They're willing to look past some of the issues they may have had with him in the past, look past Jan 6th, and get behind the person who they think is the stronger candidate. And I think on one hand, this does go to show how weak Joe Biden is currently going into this election cycle, that people who have been very critical of the former president are still willing now to say that they intend to vote for him, including Nikki Haley, who only a few months ago was leveling pretty harsh critiques.
How much of this is just trying to get into lockstep? How much of it is a power grab insofar as Nikki Haley wants to be the vice president or would want a role in a cabinet kind of thing?
I think there's a little bit of both there, of course. Trump has made clear that he no longer thinks that Haley would be in that VP contender list, which is still rather long. But of course, we're going to be watching to see whether she gets some kind of place in some kind of.
He said the other day
she wouldn't get it.
But he did say that she would be somewhere. There would be a job for her.
But I assume that I assume she switches gears because she wanted that role, or she wants a role of some sort.
I think she wants to look towards what happens in 4 years, probably, too.
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly something we see in politics all the time. People change their tune when they see the sea change happening, and she knows that Trump is, the Republican Party leader. He has been for a very long time now, and she knows if she wants a future in the Republican Party, in politics, she is going to have to make good with the former president.
Right.